Hello, beautiful souls. My name is Alexandra, and for those of you that have not seen any of my videos, I am a healing facilitator, an ascension facilitator, and I channel information from higher dimensional beings, from angels, from star races, and I also offer light language transmissions, healings, and activations. So the purpose of this channel is mainly to offer you light language transmissions to help you on your journey, as well as offer you tools and new perspectives that I'm getting from the beings that I'm channeling in order to help you on your path ahead. And for those of you that have been watching my videos, thank you for coming back. As I mentioned in my previous video, this recording now, this video is going to be about stepping into 5D consciousness. The previous video was about ascension symptoms, and basically we did light language transmissions to support you with these symptoms. And I went into different experiences people go through, I went through, and the people that I've been working with have gone through or are currently going through. And this video is about 5D consciousness, what that is. We're going to be doing light language transmissions on different aspects and layers of 5D consciousness and clearing blocks towards opening up to this consciousness, as well as talk a little bit about different things you can do in your daily life to, open up to it, and also keep returning back to it as long as you need until you can really anchor that in. Obviously, some of us, and that's something I recognize about myself as well, and many people that I know and that I work with, and I'm sure many of you are the same. Some of us did come in with that 5D frequency. And what I'm talking about is mainly light workers, starseed, angelic humans, earth angels, as they're also called. So many of us came in with a fifth dimensional consciousness already. But that doesn't mean that just because we were born with it, just because our, let's say, fifth dimensional or higher dimensional soul dropped into this human body and this human experience and onto this planet, that is going to make us in any way better than other people. And usually from my own life and from the life of the people that I work with and that I know, I can tell you that it actually makes things way more difficult at the beginning, at least, until we get to know ourselves and understand who we are and what we are and what we're actually doing on this planet and in our life. In my case, I had a severe trauma in my childhood and had a lot of difficult experiences that my soul chose for this incarnation. And I also know why this happened, and somehow I had a feeling about it all along. I remember telling my best friend when I was in school that I think the reason why I had to go through so many things, starting with such a young age, that maybe other people experience, throughout their entire life, or maybe not even one life, or maybe more lives, is because I'm meant to understand others better and help better. But at that age, I obviously didn't know that I'm going to end up being a counselor and some kind of a guide to others. But on a soul level, in my heart, I knew that this is why it's happening. So the reason why I said that it's more difficult for some of us is because we come in with this fifth dimensional frequency, but we are on a third dimension here. And so the way we see the world is very different. The things that we expect from the world, let's say, expect from the world, or expect from ourselves and what we are able to do in the world are completely different. And in my own personal experience, I can tell you that it's the feeling that I've been having all my life. And I mean, since my starseed awakening, and since, I kind of like aligned with my starseed soul mission for this incarnation, which is heart essence, basically. Everything kind of like settled down, and I have much more peace, and I don't have these kind of thoughts anymore. But the way it used to be before that was that it was a feeling as if somebody picked me up from Germany. Let's say I'm currently living in Germany right now. Somebody really picked me up from Germany and just threw me in Japan and said, now survive. And, you know, obviously a person going through that experience would be like, wait a minute, I don't understand the culture. I don't understand the language. I don't understand how people think. And I don't know how to survive here. And that was the feeling I had from the beginning. So I'm telling you this because I don't want people to think just because some of us are born with this dimensional frequency doesn't mean, wow, you know, we're having an amazing spiritual journey and everything is beautiful. Actually, it's very difficult, as I said, but until people start figuring out what they're about and what they're actually supposed to be doing in this lifetime. Yeah, so I'm going to go into, I have my notes here. I'm going to go into a little bit of information about the third dimension, the fifth dimension, what just the differences are. And this video was part of a series. I mentioned it in a previous in the previous video. So the series is about stepping into 5D, and the topics are all going to be about ascension, and I'm going to go into different layers of this topic. So I am going to be talking about 5D consciousness now in this video and kind of try to wrap everything up in one video in general terms, but I am going to be making other videos where I'm going to be going deeper into all of them, and also offer light language transmissions that are more focused on individual nuances of the things that I'm mentioning today. So stay tuned and hit the subscribe button for that if it resonates. Okay, so basically I'm going to go into the energies of 3D first. So what is 3D? What are the main elements of 3D consciousness? So the main elements of 3D consciousness are, first of all, fear. And we've been experiencing a lot of that this year. If we look at the way, I don't want to go into any, you know, controversial or conspiracy kind of energies in this video, but if we look at the structures we have, the political, financial structures, the health care in most of the world, it's all very much based on fear. So let's take a very basic example, the financial system. Most of us, you know, I'm living in Germany now, so all people have health insurance here in healthcare. I know it's not the case in many other countries, and I know in some countries it's so expensive that people maybe prefer to not get it. But basically, what's the main idea behind the health insurance? The main idea behind the health insurance is that you keep paying a certain amount per month of money, like a lot of people, all that have that particular company that they are insured by. So everybody throws a specific amount of money into like a bowl, let's say, and they do that thinking that at some point in time they are probably going to get sick, or they might have an accident or something, you know, traumatic, hurtful, terrible is going to happen to them, and they're paying this money now for the future, for that timeline, for that possible event that might occur or might not occur. And they're doing it so that when it really happens, that the insurance and money out of that bowl is given to them so they can cover the cost. So on a 3D level, it makes sense, maybe, to some of us. Some of us think it's stupid, but to some of us it makes sense. In some countries you're forced to do it anyway, so Germany, you have to do it. But it's based on fear, because we are afraid that something is going to happen, first of all. We expect something to happen, and that's why many times, that's why it happens, unfortunately. And then second of all, we are also going from the premise that we won't be able to afford the costs for whatever treatment that we need. So this is a basic example of how the healthcare system is based on fear. Obviously, there are many good things about the healthcare system. There are many amazing doctors out there, but I just wanted to give an example that might be, you know, like a basic example that would be easy to understand. And the same counts for the financial system. You know, people put money in a savings account, Also because they hope that somehow, the bank is going to invest that money further and they're going to get, it's going to end up being more at the end, and they have that for the time when they retire or whatever. So it's all these, main structures, so politics, finances, health, and even a lot of the religious institutions, there is a fear element there. And this is the biggest characteristic of the 3D consciousness. Another element that is very, characteristic of the 3D, of the third dimension, is separation. So obviously, every country has its own unique and beautiful culture and things to share with the world. And even though my family is extremely mixed, and I've lived in so many different countries, and I continue to want to travel and live in different places for as long as I live, but still, we are in a 3D structure where people think, okay, this is that country, I'm living in this country, my country is better than that country, or my tribe is better than their tribe. My religion is better than their religion, whatever we do in my culture is better than that, or, so there's this separation where we don't see each other as one. We have a separate way of thinking, we divide people between races, whatever they believe in, their gender, the way they live, and so on and so forth. So this is what I mean with 3D being based on separation. Another aspect which is very typical for the third dimension is lack, and that obviously flows into the aspect of fear that I just explained before. So we are somehow forced in this dimension, and in this, not even this dimension necessarily, because we are going to continue living on this planet even when we step in 5D, but this 3D level of consciousness kind of forces us to think from lack, meaning if I don't, go to this job every day, which I don't like, I'm not going to have what I need. So there's a lot of force to adhere to the structures, and a lot of pressure to kind of succumb to the structures, because if you don't go with the flow, then you just won't have what you need. And the marketing people know how to use that very well. For example, they say, this offer is limited, or the production of these products is limited. There's only going to be 2,000 of them, or this offer is only available this week. So things like that really trigger the reptilian part of the brain, where we are afraid and we are in this lack consciousness where things are not enough. So we have to just buy the stuff. And I know it because I studied communication. I really studied the psychology of advertising and how these things work. So I understand. And because I understood it, basically that's when I decided I can't go with this path, because it would just completely go against my soul and my heart's essence. But basically, this is another example of a 3D consciousness element. Another one is ignorance, suppression. Other ones are ignorance, suppression. So, we are being kept somehow by the system in an ignorant state. And I saw that in a very clear example from my own life when I was living in Germany, in a different city than now. I was in university at that time. And there were some riots going on, and there was some kind of people were going on the street and protesting against something in Romania. And if you've watched the videos before, my father is currently living there. So there were some protests there because of this issue of mining gold. Romania has a lot of gold. And I don't know much about it, but from what I understood, the process of mining gold can be, or a specific type of process of mining gold can be very harmful for the environment. And so this very big company, I believe it was from Canada, bought a huge area where there was a lot of gold. And when, first of all, people were kind of upset about the state kind of giving away, the riches of the country just like that to some like other country, instead of kind of like using it for themselves and kind of like selling the gold themselves in order to, become a more abundant country, let's say. But also people were upset because of these mining procedures. So what happened when I was at university was that I got this kind of like pamphlet in the post box, which was written by kind of like a extreme right-wing political group. And it's interesting because I actually noticed that I was the only one that got it, and I was also the only foreigner in the building, but it doesn't matter. I don't get upset with these things anymore. Anyway, and then I looked at it, and there were photos of different people protesting. And what happened was that these are two different stories I'm noticing right now. They were using photos to complain about basically immigrants, creating agitation and kind of like stirring things up in Germany, and how dangerous it is, this cultural clash, and how basically Germany has to protect itself against these kind of immigrants that come in and kind of want to change the system from within and, completely change the culture and the structures. But the photo that they had on that pamphlet was actually a photo taken during the World Football Olympics thing. I can't remember what it's called right now because I'm not into all that stuff. And I actually looked that photo up, and I could see that they took it from, they were photo of people in front of the stadium in Munich that were Turkish people and German people. And so what they were trying to do is use that photo where the Turkish people were there wearing the flag on their t-shirt or whatever, and having the flag, and so that was like, okay, they're completely misinterpreting what is happening, and they're kind of pulling people into that ignorance and into a false reality that is absolutely not based on anything that is true, because that photo was not exactly what they were portraying it to be. And at the same time, this rioting in Romania was happening, and I saw the news, which I hardly watched TV, but I did watch it at that time because I knew about what was happening. And I watched the German news, and they were showing clips of these people on the street protesting and talking about some kind of political issue that was going on. But I saw exactly the same footage, and I know that it's true because, as I said, I have family living there, on the Romanian news online, and those people were protesting because of the gold mining. So this is what I mean by us living in a structure which promotes ignorance. And even during university, we spoke about how the media is actually only really talking about certain countries, and we are actually never hearing much about others, which also has to do with their own political system and the fact that they don't want information leaking out or whatever. But still, it's like, when you look at the media map of the world that is portrayed on TV and through the different media channels, it's much smaller than the map of our planet, actually. And this is how this ignorance is being promoted. Another energy that is being promoted is victimhood mentality. So it's like we are getting these rules and regulation kind of like stamped on our forehead, and we are made to believe that we have to follow the crowd. We have to listen to these things, and we have to have this 9-to-5 job, and get that mortgage and do all these different kind of steps because that's how it works. And basically, you know, you have no other chance to do anything if you don't. And people that fall into that trap end up doing all these things, even though they actually do have more freedom than they actually know about. But because they are stuck in this victim mentality, they never get to see those other possibilities. And I'm going to get into these possibilities later on in this video. And if you are interested in kind of like opening your mind and your level of awareness up to other possibilities than the ones that you have heard about, or the ones that we have all been kind of like indoctrinated with, then I would suggest you listen to my transmission. I think it's called Opening Up to a New World of Possibility. That's going to really clear the blockages towards, becoming aware and, you know, manifesting other possibilities for yourself. So now I'm going to get into the fifth dimensional consciousness. And obviously what I'm doing here is just giving you some keywords, but there's a lot of information out there that you can access where you can go more into these things, okay? So fifth dimensional consciousness is not based on separation. Separation is 3D, but it's based on unity. So this is where we all feel like one within ourselves. First of all, we integrate all of our aspects, our light aspects, our shadow aspects, our inner child. We come into unity between, mind, heart, body, soul, and our higher dimensional aspects, as well as our earthly human aspects. We also start feeling one with those around us. You know, many of us have difficult experiences with their family members. So even within families where people are actually one, we still have this kind of feeling of separation. And that gets extended towards feeling one with the people in your immediate community, feeling one with the people in your city, and the people in your country, feeling one with the people on the planet. And then obviously at some level you start feeling one with the universe and so on. And I channeled some information from the Pleiadians a while ago. Actually, I'm going to look that up right now. Where they explained to me the different levels of consciousness, but not in the terms of 3D, 4D, 5D, and so on. And they explained it to me this way. So we have personal consciousness, which means the integration, what I just said before, and oneness with all self aspects, light and shadow alike. Then they mentioned community and tribal consciousness, which is integration and oneness with those around you, your family, friends, and the community you choose to live in. Then we have global consciousness, integration and oneness with all human and non-human, or non-human meaning animals and plants on the planet that you currently reside on. And then we have multidimensional consciousness, which means understanding your own multidimensionality as well as that of reality, exploring time, space, and quantum physics, and so on and so forth. And then the next level would be galactic consciousness. So that is when we start moving into that, feeling one with the universe and all the different beings that are living out there, feeling one with beings that are living on other planets, discovering your own galactic aspect, maybe learning more about the galactic history, and coming in contact with these beings, either through face-to-face contact or telepathic contact like the one I have. So this would be galactic consciousness. And then the next one would be universal divine consciousness, which is really completely merging with the God source, God goddess consciousness, and being in complete oneness with everything that there is. So these would be the different types of level of consciousness. They're not specific for 5D, but I felt I wanted to share that because it describes unity consciousness on different levels. Then another element of 5D is unconditional love and letting go of judgment. So obviously, it doesn't matter if you're a starseed, an earth angel, a light worker, or an earth seed, or whatever you are. All these labels are judgments in themselves anyway, but I'm using them for the purpose of understanding each other in this conversation that we're having. Obviously, if you are here on planet Earth, no matter how pure you are, no matter how pure your heart is, you were born through a mother and a father that have their own judgments, and the judgments of the entire ancestral lineage, the maternal as well as the paternal. And you are living in a density that is infused with a lot of judgment. And I spoke about this to a friend of mine that I just had a session with on Sunday. It is very possible that some of us, and I experienced it with myself, and I'm sure you have experiences like that as well, whether you know it or not. It is possible that we are on a level where we actually don't judge that much anymore, or hardly. But if you are an open channel, if your psychic senses are online, you can walk around and just be walking on the street, and then maybe there's a woman walking right next to you that is a bit overweight or a bit more overweight, doesn't matter. And because you're open, you could simply pick up on other people's thoughts that are thinking, oh my God, that woman is fat. And then you turn around and you see that woman, you're like, oh, okay. So some people know how to differentiate between the judgment that they just telepathically observe from others and their own judgment. So when I'm talking about judgment here regarding fifth dimensional frequency, fifth dimensional consciousness, I'm talking about your own judgments. But basically, yeah, fifth dimensional consciousness is free of judgment, because when we reach that consciousness, we understand that everybody has the right, the birthright, to express themselves however they want. So I love tattoos. I'm going to get even more tattoos. Some people hate tattoos. Some people might see me and think that I'm some kind of weird person. To be honest, I don't care. Because for me, they're an expression of who I am and what is important to me. And the first ones that I actually got them in places where I can see them myself, to remind myself of certain things that are important to me and that belong to my own awakening and healing journey. And it's just going to continue being like this for me. But when we understand that everybody's free to choose and express themselves the way they want, no matter what we're talking about here, maybe it's sexual expression, creative expression, the job that they choose, the way that the color of their hair, the way that they walk, the way that they talk, whatever. When we understand that that's their right to do it, and we really integrate this awareness, then there's no point to judge anybody. Because as long as somebody's in their expression of their being and their heart essence and their soul, they're not hurting me or you, then why should I even bother thinking about it? I can just honor their authenticity, honor their openness, honor their self-respect and self-love, honor their courage and bravery to just be themselves no matter what other people might think. And I can even get inspired by that, and so there is no judgment towards it, right? So this is fifth dimensional consciousness. And obviously, this whole energy of unconditional love is a big part of it, because when we start opening our heart, and we will be going into this topic as well in this video and in other videos as well. But the moment we start opening the heart, which is basically the first gateway, let's say, to fifth dimensional consciousness, and also to higher dimensional aspects within yourself and your guides and your beings, and to the God, Goddess, when we open it, then we start stepping into this energy of unconditional love. And that is the first step that we all need to take in order to reach this fifth dimensional frequency and to move into ascension. That's why so many old cultures and so many old scriptures talk about, opening the heart, being in the heart, opening back up to your childlike innocence. Jesus mentions this quite a lot. And what he's talking about is being in that heart space where, you know, we can just be just like a child when we're just curious and excited and enjoy and in bliss. And, you know, children don't care. They don't get scared. Children only get scared if their parents tell them stuff that make them feel scared. But otherwise, you know, a child will hardly ever react to something with fear if it's not really something that's really threatening to them and that is obvious. Children are usually just curious about things, and you've noticed, I'm sure, when a child falls down, they will usually turn around and look at their mother or their father and see how they react. And if they act with fear, then the child is suddenly going to start crying. And if the parents are relaxed, the child is not going to start crying. And that's that childlike innocence and curiosity and openness where we can just, you know, flow with what is without judging it and just being in that allowing space. And as I mentioned, you know, we have that lack of judgment, we have joy. So we are moving from a place, for example, where we choose a job that is safe. This year, anyway, we all noticed that whatever we thought was safe is not safe any longer, or the jobs that were supposed to be safe are not safe any longer. And, you know, all these structures that we've built are kind of like collapsing right now, but that's part of the ascension process, so there's nothing to fear as it's happening. But basically, yeah, many of us get a job that they think is safe. It's something that they're always going to be able to do, and so they can, you know, support themselves and their family financially. But actually they hate it, and maybe they're doing it because their father did it and their grandfather and so on and so forth. Or maybe they just think it's a respectable job, like let's say the banking system. People that used to work for the banking system on Wall Street and so on, I mean, in the 80s or the 90s, they were like the gods of the world. But then, you know, once the financial crisis started happening and kept happening during the last years, now people don't really like banking people because they just think, you know, there's something that they're not, you know, they're not really acting from the heart. So many people got, you know, into so many difficult situations because of the banking system, and these people that are trying to pull you into the system and basically kind of like, you know, do it more for themselves and the money that they gain through you. So we're going to be moving from a place where we have these kinds of jobs out of, you know, a reason that doesn't come from the heart, and jobs that we hate, to a place where all of us are going to be having jobs that we love and that brings us joy. And we're not even probably going to call them jobs anymore because they're going to be your passion. Like, what I do is not a job. I'm not working. What I do is something that I love. And the first years when I started doing it, I actually felt weird even charging people for it, because it's like, you know, if you would love painting and you just sit down and you paint, and that's what you love doing, you're not thinking in those terms, really. And that's how I used to feel. But I mean, obviously, we are living still in this third dimensional consciousness. So at some point, I had to work on those issues and let go of those beliefs, because it's still a lot of time that goes into everything that I'm doing. There are a lot of harsh energies that I'm exposed to through the work that I'm clearing from people. And there's a lot of things that come along with my job that are not that easy, you know, and not many people would be willing to do them. And there's a level of purity that you have to maintain in your daily life in order to be able to work with people, to see the things, to keep your psychic awareness, to develop yourself further, and so on and so forth. So, but we will not be calling our jobs or our work jobs and work anymore, because we're all going to be able to just step into our heart and follow our passion and, you know, move ahead with that. So another energy that describes the fifth dimensional consciousness very well is sovereignty. So we have free will, we are sovereign beings, and when we're really going to fully step into a fifth dimensional consciousness, there's not going to be any outside matrix, or there are not going to be any structures that are going to force us to do anything, because we are sovereign free beings. That's how we were created by the God Goddess, and that's how we were born. And there's not going to be anything outside of us that is going to force us to do something that we don't want to do, which right now our society is built on, you know, us having to do certain things that we don't feel comfortable with, you know. So we're going to move into the light language transmissions now. And I really suggest that you drink a lot of water with these transmissions because they're going to be very powerful. Okay, so we're going to start with, first of all, clearing third dimensional consciousness within you on the level of the soul, the heart, the mind, so the conscious, subconscious, and conscious on the level of the emotional body, the mental body, and within all aspects of your being multidimensionally. We're going to clear all third dimensional programming and consciousness, be it lack consciousness, victim consciousness, separation consciousness, and so on and so forth, that you were imprinted with or took on and made into your own truth throughout all of your incarnations. When you were in a third dimensional consciousness, many of us didn't spend much time in this consciousness, but some of us did. So we're going to be working with that. Nara hokure tiki ya neshitiki ni yara una aina hakireta una hikiretiti. Tukuria shetana ya ure kiniane inna ya roko enne hakarata uru o shotukriatiki. Takana na hukuria nehe. Anna uri na ashakara na urakto onene nehunokurunu. Tukuria na hakiria na kiriatata urunu. Neya na ashatkriataka na hikiria na araha uru wakatane. Tikiria na okusutria tikiria hakorera yana neya lukuru ene. Tukuria neya harakutik shiti neya kiti. Haraya neya huru tero toro ya nakurutu nene arana horo neya haka. Turia na hakaria kuturia na horo neya na horo oneya hukuru one. Tikiria na hokusutria tikiria ta area. Harakiti neya oro na oneya hakaria te ena. Takarano onu ne enea arao no orokatara hakatiti tara u. Tukuriana shatenine era uno ora ena akata adna ura hakate. Tikiriana era uro yara hakaratira katekirititi uroko shate yara neya hara hokono. Ene akata shatikiriata unea hakiriata area u. Huru neya kata hoko shatiria ne heke hakiria keneya uro kena ane ashatikiriata tukuria na heke neya huru yakane niere kiti tikiria na aya heneya neya na uro hena kata uro kitia tikiria ne ashatikiriata uro hekoria rekiri niya uru nekana hana uro tikiria neya kutushut kitia ara kut area kereta inekiti Tikiria na kutu shutrikiti araune yakitiane e ya uru urikiria tata. Tikishitiria hekara ya hokuru na yakarane enaya onoye na ya unu. Uno ya ne ya kuturu tere yakata ashate tikiria tata kurutu. Tukuria ne ya na gauru ndungut erektena na uru no yo ne yakatiria tata uno ya ekiria tata hikiria tata ki ne ya uru kuti. Tiriana na ureyana hekaraya ashateria tikiti. Shateriana hakiria tete unea kitiriata oroya eria kitia. Tukuriana hana heya karakata. Huriana neya. Huriana anna shateria ne kitiria uru kitia enea. Huriana. Huriana neya unukuru. Enia takasha neya karata. Eya kati shitikiriata. Honeya hana kuturia nena. Onea kiti 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 kiti. Onea. So we're going to move on to the next topic, which is moving from fear to joy and excitement. And I want to mention one small perspective about that, which is that many of us actually think that we're afraid. So we have, let's say, you have to do something you've never done before, like bungee jumping or whatever, something like that. Your partner is telling you, let's do it, and you're like, no, I'm totally afraid to do it, and you can feel it in your body that it's like, this weird sensation. Many times, really many times, and I've noticed that in myself and all the people I've worked with, that feeling is actually not fear. It's excitement. It's excitement, and there's some element within you that's like, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. I'm so curious about it. But then your human ego aspect that wants to protect you and that has its place and that is important on a certain level because we need it here in this dimension is like, no, 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 I can feel your excitement, but I don't want to do it because I don't know, I maybe, maybe it's not safe for us, so we should not do it. So what we're going to do now is really help you and clear blocks towards shifting from that fear consciousness into joy, and so you can really follow the things that bring you joy, but also excitement, so you can really observe that instead of confusing it with fear, and generally letting go of fear and moving into these much higher vibrational frequencies and energies. Takarana u shuttukunia ya keriat urukta ya kiriata anekiti utukureta ashagariata kiti orokuto tene yakara hikiriata kurushutu ya urukta ya kiti ya nekiria hunno yone ekeria tikiria urikiriata ta anne ya kurushutu urukiriata ka tikiria na ya runno ya kiriata ta ara hikiriata te ya riana ushutriati ne ya kurukutu nekiti Tukuriata asha tikiriata te anea kata ane uru no nekiti. Tikiriana kshatrakt ashakarakt erekt urukt ututu enayak asha tetiya kurukt erekt asha. Tikiriata turukt unekiriana hakara tukarekt urukt uturukt erekata. Takarana tukshturukt erekt araki etirekt urukt titirak shtirat urukt erikiti. Tikriä shtukreiden tukturuk tutu enekiriata aaria nene uruk tuti iriata. Hukuriata ashategriana ne ya uruk teria kiria keta ashatikriata karaktu uruk teria kititi. Tikishitina ya hunno ja tekera heketiti ja karaktu uruk tetiti karakitiati. So the next energy that I want to work on is really healing and opening your heart and increasing your ability or strengthening your ability to stay in the heart no matter what happens. Because what many of us do is we open our heart, we have some profound healing experiences or profound aha moments. Something happens, maybe our baby smiles to us for the first time, like mine recently did. Or I don't know, anything can happen where your heart just completely kind of like explodes open, But then, I don't know, suddenly you watch the news or somebody says something at work and then you immediately close your heart back because, you want to protect yourself or unconsciously, or anything else of that nature. So it's very important for us to be in this fifth dimensional frequency to heal the heart and open the heart, clear the things that don't allow us to do that, and also practice the habit of staying in this open-heartedness. So this is what this part of the transmission is going to be for. Tukurana hakiria tekeria tukuru atakara aya huru kutira tikiria tateka nayaoreya hikiria tikiria takara e tukuria hakara ya uru yenea nakatete hukutu tukuria ne shatakria tikiria heria neya uru ktiara keti tikiria noyene hada eya kata unu keria hanna ketiana hukrututu naya keshetria tikiria te Tukuria hashatria tikiti horokto onnoja eneja. Neja nura tena horoketia teki tikiriana ushutria teki hunnoja neja hanna hikiria teteja hurukto tutu hakatria neja tishutria takeria kuturu neja kiti tikiriana kutushutria kitiriata anakeria tete onneja shutria kiti taja urukte anneja kurutututa eneja. Tikiriana unnot shatrianene ja hakaria teki tikiria tukurutu tikiria ta anchitikiria tekiria heikiria ta oya karateti hakarata ta anea tukuria na hakashatria tekitia oruktu shudrutu tu nekete shetekitia shutria te era kiria ta hakarata unnokenea neja urukt uneja heikiria ta katara urukteja hurukte ja hurukte eshatria tekitia na haraja kiria takara uria taka Utkuriata heshikriata kiriata huturiata kiriata kunoneya neya hukurianaya eriataka uru. Tikiriata kshutriata kitia areya kiriata tikiriata tihineya unaya uraya kata. Tukuriane eki shitiriata ka anaya kurutu oria ketikiri atakriati. What the angels just told me is to also do a part about opening the heart to gratitude, because that's also a very important aspect of the fifth dimensional consciousness, as well as our ability to create and receive more abundance in our lives, which is also another fifth dimensional frequency. Tukuriana hikiriata kiria uduktu ushutiata kia teria kana oneya hikiriata kia area huruktu ara hikirie tikiriana horia kata area kata tukuriata kiria neya kushutu shuturiata kita area kiria tata aneya hukuriata dia tikeshiti hara hukutura ya kitia neya hukutu no anaya keshiti tikiriata uroya kata eneya hakarata ta ahiya kara uria tene neya naro nuna eshetenia eketia tukurunia tikiria hakerata urukta shatikiria takara hikiriata tiketi tikiria neya nurunu kiti ene hakata tikiria take tikiria tahuru neya kita shatiki here kiti yara kurutu ono neya unaya hetiki. Okay, and now there's only one more part of the light language transmission, one last topic that I want to work on, and then I'm just gonna mention a few more perspectives and tips that could help you and that you could integrate in your day-to-day life if they resonate, of course. So what I'm going to do a transmission on now is really strengthening your discernment regarding everything that is connected to 3D structures. So as I said at the beginning of the video, religious structures, political structures, financial structures, healthcare, educational structures, and so on and so forth. So strengthening your discernment about the truth within them, and also clearing obstacles within you being able to free yourself from these structures in all the places where they are limiting your possibilities and your abilities to create a life that you love. Hakara na ushutukurea kata e reia urokutenea hekana ya unea na ashatakati. Tikiria na hakara ya uruturu shatakara ya tikara ushutukuru tu arakata. Hukuria na ina ya urokoshatene ya haera ya kata anna ya urene ya nea noro ne ya kashateria tikini ya kurutu orekata anta kashakateria tikara uro na anna hakara take. Tikiria na urokutu ushutukuria tikiriata ane ya hokora ne ya urukutu ututuraka shatikiti. Tikiria na kuturia kera ya hena ya urokoshatana ya kashatara kiriata kurukutu erekata anna kashakara ne ya na urununu ane noya na ena hakara tikiti ya rakutu shatikete ane kiti. Tikiria na unoko shateria ne kurutut akata tikiria na era urukuta shatarekt ena takutut uruktu anayaktutu anakata tukiria ne yaro no ria tikiria kititi ya hukurutut anayakashati tikiria ura hakateriata uno ya ene ya karayana uno hukuturu tukuno kene tiria na une ya karati kititi. Okay, so the last things I want to share with you now, because I don't want this to get too long, are a few perspectives or a few energies which are fifth dimensional that you could think about, contemplate on, and really try to open your mind and your reality and your awareness up to these ideas. These are all based on a lot of channeled information that I got from different star races and angels and higher dimensional beings or my higher self, and a lot of perspectives which I came in with in this lifetime, but was for a very long time made to believe that are impossible and that I'm basically crazy for the things that I believe in. And now, during the last years, I've noticed that, we are moving in that direction. And I guess that is part of the Starseed mission, is to embody these new perspectives and these new frequencies so that you can anchor them into the grids and into the society you live in order for these possibilities and energies to be able to manifest into reality and into the physical form. So opening yourself up to completely new possibilities is very important, and I'm just going to mention a few of them here. First of all, the most important thing to understand is that God, or the God, Goddess, universe, is benevolent. The traditional religious structures usually present God or the gods, depending on what spiritual path you're on, or religious path you're on, as also being punishing and being even vengeful or taking revenge, and doing all these kind of more darker and malefic things. So this is one perspective. Then also another energy that I would invite you to embrace, if it resonates, is really focusing on having the possibility and the abilities needed to live your dream life, no matter how impossible it may seem on a human level. Then also seeing Gaia, seeing our planet as healed, respected and protected by all humans. And obviously these are all things that are happening on a certain dimension, but that we are moving towards along with this ascension process. And that's why I was guided to share these perspectives with you. Because the more of us hold these seeds of consciousness, and the more of us focus on them, and the more of us believe in them, no matter how impossible it may seem to have that world and create that world, the more we are actually increasing the possibility of these things actually manifesting in our world and our planet, moving in that direction. Then also another energy to focus on or bring into your meditations or your prayers is having a world free of wars, having complete peace and unity, no more hunger and inequality, but instead abundance for all. Having new educational systems based on creativity and individual gifts, talents, and abilities. And this is also something that the Apunians, I think it was the Apunians, because I talked to different red star races, but I have that post actually on Facebook and on Instagram, and it comes along with the light language transmission. But they basically said that we are going to have new educational systems that are going to be more based on the use of positive technology, so that each child kind of like is in an interaction. Obviously they're going to have a teacher, but they're also going to be in interaction with certain types of devices that are kind of like connected to their gifts and talents, and it's going to be more of like kind of like an interactive type of learning, instead of kids sitting in school and getting bored listening to a teacher that is kind of like talking at them instead of talking to them. And that basically these new technologies that are going to be shared with us by higher dimensional light beings are going to help children learn according to what gifts they have and what interests they have, so that the education is going to be individual for each child. But there is also going to be like a teacher or several teachers that are going to be overseeing the whole thing, and it's not going to be just like kids and computers or something like that. But basically this is what I was shown and told. Then also new medical systems, again, where we're going to have much more of this alternative treatments, and doctors are going to understand that everything is energy, and all these insurance issues are not going to be a thing anymore. And then also getting paid by the state for simply existing. And there is a program that was created with the help of Saint Germain. I think it's called NASCAR, something, I can't remember the name of it, you can look it up. But basically the idea is, and it's basically started to happen now with the situation this year, that, you know, we will not have to pay for our basic needs such as rent, water, electricity, food, you know, our healthcare. Things like that are going to be, you know, covered by the state and by the money that the community shares together. And then while having this peace of mind, everybody will be able to have the, you know, follow their passion and share with the community, and make money by doing what they love instead of having to have a job that they hate to cover these basic needs. So all of these things are perspectives that belong to the fifth dimensional consciousness that I invite you to contemplate on if you feel guided to. And now, so what can you do on your own to tap more and more into that fifth dimensional frequency? First of all, obviously, an important aspect is to work on yourself and really clearing third dimensional programming, ancestral trauma, and trauma in general, past life programs, past life trauma. Then a very important aspect is asking your guides to align you into this 5D consciousness, which is, sorry, my light is kind of funky. Okay. Which is, sorry, I lost my thought right there. So basically asking your guides to align you with the fifth dimensional frequency and to keep anchoring yourself into the fifth dimensional crystalline grid of Gaia and the Christ consciousness grid of the Grand Central Sun. These are the grids that we want to be anchored in and grounded into, because that is the vibration that we're you know, moving towards in this ascension process. And always work on your connection in alignment with your higher self. Your higher self is going to guide you through your ascension journey, no matter, you know, how knowledgeable you are about all these things. Then something that I can suggest that you read is a book called Waking Up in 5D. I don't know actually I can look it up. I'm listening to it, or I listened to it actually on Audible, and I can look up the name. It's by Maureen J. Saint-Germain. It's called Waking Up in 5D. It's a lovely book. Then, you know, I'm sure many of you listen to a lot of frequencies. And so the fifth, you know, the 5D frequency is the gamma frequency, and you can find a lot of gamma, brainwave, binaural stuff there. But yeah, that usually sounds a bit, you know, weird. I don't know. It's not very pleasant for me. So I try to find music that has these frequencies. It's 40 to 100 hertz. But that has like a melody to it, because otherwise it's just, I don't know, it's not very pleasant for me if it's just like that beeping sound. Then also, you know, healing, forgiving, and integrating all the things, people, places, and habits and experiences of a lower frequency from your life. And also understanding that certain souls, certain people are not aligned with these higher dimensional frequencies, and they were not want to participate in the ascension journey. So there's no point in trying to force people to awaken, force people to understand you if they just refuse to. You know, just focus on yourself and your own journey, and set an intention from your heart of hearts that this is what you want to do. You want to align yourself with this consciousness. You want to enter this consciousness. And if you declare that to the universe, then the universe is going to send everything to you that you need in order to do that. Observing your thoughts is an important thing, and really noticing, okay, oh, I just lived in a third dimensional frequency, not with fear or self-judgment, but just like, okay, I just judged this person by the car that they're driving. I'm gonna send them blessings from my heart now, or ask the universe to bless them, and I'm gonna step back into unity consciousness now. So this is how you can work with your thoughts and navigate these third dimensional thoughts and the fifth dimensional thoughts. And I also created a light language transmission, a drawn one, which is called Stepping into or Activating Your 5D Template, I think. And it's on Facebook, on the Facebook page. The information is going to be at the end of the video and below. And that's about everything I wanted to share with you today. It's a lot of information. I'm going to be going into some of these topics deeper in the near future. But I'm trying to not make my videos too long because I know some of you are going to know everything I just mentioned. Some of you are going to know part of it. Some of you are not going to know any of what I just said. And they probably heard it for the first time. So I'm trying to really, bring some information for all of these different groups of people. I love you very much. I hope that these transmissions and this information is going to help you on your journey and help you step more and more into your heart's true essence and help you radiate it out into the world and really elevate yourself to the highest possible timeline and frequency and level of consciousness. And I'm sending you a lot of angel blessings, and I'm going to see you soon. Bye.